Well, everyone, just when we thought the story of this game was over, it's not. It actually gets worse. Somehow the game is worse today than it was when it launched, and Warner Brothers has come out and spoken on the game's performance, and no surprise, the performance was not that great. You have no doubt seen the memes and clips of this page, which is SteamDB, which tracks concurrent player counts on Steam as a platform. And on here you can see already the game has dropped to 840 players as of right now as I'm filming this video. But in terms of 24-hour peaks, I mean, we're at under 1,000, pretty much no matter where we look, which for a game built around live service mechanics and keeping players engaged for hundreds or thousands of hours, this is nothing less than a catastrophic failure. But we've been through that. I've reviewed the game. You can find out all of my opinions on why it's bad in those videos. I won't rehash the whole thing here, but last time we touched on this game, we were just kind of like leaving it out there. This is what we think of the game. Let's see what happens. And sure enough, I mean, the player counts just keep dropping. And it seems as though the community that was trying to support and prop up this game is actively leaving it in real time as well, which is crazy. This is backed up in a couple of ways where you can see that Warner Brothers executives, specifically the chief financial officer, Gunnar Weidenfels, he said that the game had fallen short of their expectations. And I actually found the clip of the call where they were talking about this, and they just are like, yeah, it's fallen short of our expectations. And then they move on super quickly. And they're like, yeah, and it's going to be a tough year anyways, because Hogwarts Legacy was last year. So it was always going to be kind of rough in comparison to that game. So don't think about it too hard. It was really, really awkward, and they blasted past it. But that didn't really fool investors, because as you can see, there was a moment in this graph when they revealed that Warner Brothers Discovery is not doing so hot this past quarter, and they don't expect to do so hot in the coming quarters. And do you think you can figure out where on this graph maybe maybe the announcement came that they weren't doing so good? Yeah, they're down on a 5-day period. They're down almost 14% just in this short period of time. I mean, they dropped 13% in a single session effectively after trading hours closed. They announced all of this stuff, and they've recovered a little bit in the last day or so, but not much. All told, they are struggling for many reasons, not just the video game side of things, but Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's catastrophic collapse is certainly not a boost to their current share price, I'll tell you what. The other thing that backs this up is the fact that you can go to the subreddit for the game and find members of the community. These are the most hardcore fans that are actively participating in the subreddit, and they are starting to report serious frustrations. In fact, they just patched the game trying to fix some server issues, because I wasn't aware of this. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are active on this subreddit that still have not been able to finish the game. They bought the $100 deluxe edition, and they still have not been able to complete it, with achievements broken, with matchmaking totally broken and busted, or an inability to even log in, where there's some bug not allowing their Warner Brothers account to launch into the video game itself, which is mad. And these reports are devastating. I mean, I had no issues before the patch, says Cairo UK Original. The game is now completely unplayable as I get stuck on loading Metropolis after every single mission, and restarting the game nullifies all mission progress I had made. Good luck having an end game when players can't even get rewarded, much less even into the game itself. It's crazy. Other people are reporting worse performance, where frames are dropping much more now. There are a bunch of reports of matchmaking issues and all sorts of stuff. Go play Helldivers. Absolutely, that I can stand behind that one. And then there's other comments that are saying it did fix some stuff. Apparently, this player had an issue where every time they would roll for new gun stats and perks and stuff, it would switch after rolling once. So it would basically re-roll after locking it in, which is not how that's supposed to work. So they fixed that apparently. Care packages are still bugged, and there's just a bunch of stuff broken with it. I hadn't realized just how messed up the game's performance was for the most hardcore fans. I played the game on stream and I shared and streamed all of the bugs and things I encountered. I didn't hear many people discuss them at launch, but now, a few weeks after launch, it seems like people are starting to open up about their experiences, and some of these technical issues are much worse than what I had. I had like, oh, these enemies don't spawn in, so you just walk around for 5 minutes until they do, while the mission timer counts down. Not that big of a deal, but still super annoying to just have 5 minutes of your life wasted while you wait for the game to function properly. But these people are reporting that they can't even play the game. They're reporting they can't load in, or if they do load in, they do missions, but don't get paid out any rewards for doing it. So there's no end game grind or improvement. You're just doing stuff for no reason. It's crazy. And there are a bunch of comments like this on the subreddit, and I encourage you to go check it out yourself, with people like struggling with, you know, the end game being totally lackluster, or the game was working fine but now it won't load up. And granted, there are some people trying to create a more positive community with 7 upvotes, and I think it's just because there's a lot of people that want to have a positive community, but it's really hard to be positive about a game that is broken and busted, and with developers that are really taking their time fixing stuff. And of course, a huge thank you to our sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is the meal subscription service that makes planning your meals for your busy life easier than ever. Each and every week, fresh ingredients are delivered straight to your front door with a recipe card based on which meals you selected. And by following the instructions step by step, you get to cook delicious, fresh meals without having to do any of the tedious meal planning or shopping at the grocery store. In addition, because each meal is very specifically proportioned, you will see a huge drop in your food waste. Me and my wife Nikki have been longtime users of HelloFresh. We actually used HelloFresh a lot when our 2-year-old son Lachlan was born. It basically kept us sane so we wouldn't have to go through all of the trouble of going to the grocery store with a newborn and all of that. We were just able to select the meals that looked the most delicious. They got delivered to our front door, and then we cooked them up. They were healthy, easy, and delicious. What more could you ask for? Well, how about free breakfast for life? Because if you sign up using the link in the description box below or in the pinned comment, you get 1 free breakfast item for life, so long as your subscription is active. So you basically get breakfast for free for life. It's crazy. So once again, check out the link in the video description box below, or scan the QR code on screen to get free breakfast for life, so long as your subscription is active with HelloFresh, America's #1 meal service. I love HelloFresh. I've actually gotten a lot of my family to sign up for it after they've come over for meals and tried the HelloFresh meals that we've ordered. It's awesome. Like at this point, my in-laws, my sister-in-law, my other sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law have all signed up for HelloFresh after trying it at my house. It's magic, and I can't recommend it enough. Again, check it out. Links below. To be fair, they did respond and say, "Hi Task Force X. This week we dropped our 2nd patch for the game with the intention of squashing an initial set of bugs. While we managed to do that," some people are saying they did, some people saying they didn't totally do it, "we have received reports of a new issue that blocks progress while loading the Metropolis map after an incursion mission. We are currently investigating the cause of this issue, and we will provide you with an update as soon as we can." I mean, I'm glad they're acknowledging it, but again, this is a live service game with season 1 about to launch with the Joker and all of that in just like a week or two, allegedly. So the fact that there are like the most hardcore devoted fans that still can't play the game, I mean, that's pretty devastating. You know, I want to find out if I can break the game as well, so I'm going to boot up the old Series X right there, and I'm going to see if I can get the game to break too, because I don't want to just like follow blindly what people are saying about the game. I want to see if it actually is busted, so we're going to find out ourselves, because it seems like a lot of the issues are on PS5. We're going to see if we experience them on Xbox too. Okay, we're back, sort of. It's really trying to load in, but okay, we're here. We're here. We got a taunt. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so I have opened up my party to the public. I am matchmaking live and I am available. No players have matched in yet, which makes sense because player counts are not great right now, but we'll see if we can hopefully find somebody. I also asked a friend of mine if he wanted to do this with me, and like help me play through this for this video, and he was like, I don't know, do you want to just play Helldivers instead? I was like, I'll buy you the game, so like I'll use it for content. It'll help me if I have somebody I know in my party. And he's like, I really don't want to. Which again, I think that's pretty telling. I also don't recall the game having this like low poly of assets just barely out of reach. Like, it really feels like all of these trees not that far away are super low poly, and then we get close and they'll pop in with higher quality versions. I don't like see that pop in. I don't remember that pop in being that bad when I played at launch. Maybe it is actually worse. Yeah, the frame dips are still here while you run around the city. That is still present. In certain spots, it drops like maybe 5-6 frames, and then it just catches back up to 60, but it's all over the place. I still feel like the difficulty scaling is off. Like, there really are not that many improved bonuses for playing on higher difficulties. Like, best pay attention, at least these scale. During my review, there weren't really any scalability things, so I guess you're pushing for mastery ranks, which are gonna be a good bit higher, but I think that's it. Okay, I'm gonna ready up, let's do it. I still have no teammates in here. We have been in the session for like 10-15 minutes trying to matchmake, and there's still no one available, which is not great. Okay, and this is one of those endgame missions. So you're running around in these else worlds, which are just kind of like weird alternative realities, as you can tell. And so you're supposed to go to these and perform basic missions that you might have performed in the base game, but now you do it in an else world, which makes it totally different. We promise. And now we fight waves and waves of enemies. Yeah, get headshots for faster charges because of lore. That's why. Okay, I gotta get the muscle memory back. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. A few weeks. We'll get back into it. You know, there's moments where like I think there actually is an interesting game at the core of Suicide Squad, where I think there could be fun to be had here. I just think that like so much of the game is built around the weapon grind and grinding up different tiers of weapons that it just doesn't get the chance to really shine. Wow, can you tell I'm not good with a controller? Golly. So bad, icky, ew, stinky. Oh wow. But this is the thing, this season 1 update for Joker, from everything they've shown, like we get a new playable character, which is cool. I don't know if he'll be playable during the campaign. I highly doubt it. I do think his movement looks super cool, but I don't think that that's enough to really compel people to play your game for hundreds of hours. Personally, I just don't think that'll do it. And beyond that, I really am doubtful that there is going to be a significant amount of content or improved pacing or any of these like core concerns technically are going to be addressed. I just see no evidence that any of that is going to be a priority for them. It really doesn't seem so. As far as we can tell, the season 1 update is going to give us another Elseworld like this one that's themed around the Joker. But other than that, not much. Like it's gonna maybe have like 10-15 minutes of dialogue or cutscenes introducing the character, and then it's just going to be more of this. And I just, again, I don't think that this is enough to hold players, as we've seen already dropping under 1,000 players on Steam. I'm still waiting for my squad to fill up. It still has not. So I don't know what the deal is with that. And as I've said with Helldivers, like one of the things with these types of games is that they kind of speak for themselves. Either they're fun or they're not. Either they're compelling or they're not. There really is no middle ground. Like it either is what it needs to be, or players don't connect with it and don't play it and aren't interested. Like if this game were super fun, it would find an audience. It just would. That's how these games work. But if, as I would argue, it's not up to snuff, and if it is just kind of boring, the game's gonna flounder and fail, and that's unfortunately what we've seen happen. And to be clear, like I don't revel in any of this. I'm not like excited that the game has died or that the studio is in potentially some big trouble now. Like I don't enjoy this. I would have loved for this game to have been super exciting and cool, but instead it just hasn't been. It's just not what it needed to be successful. And rather than lying about it or like doing this self-deception thing, I'm gonna call it like I see it and tell you when I don't think the game is up to snuff. And I think all of this raises a really valid question around expertise and the specialization of the studio in question. Like, Rocksteady is an amazing developer. There's no doubt about that. They have some amazing talent, or had some amazing talent for years and years and years. They made some of the most iconic and legendary games of the 20 teens for sure. And like pretty much 2009 through 2015, they were kings of the industry. They could do no wrong. Okay, maybe a little wrong. The Bat Tank wasn't that great, but I guess if we move past that, they generally did a really, really good job. I think them moving, whether it was their choice or not, them moving towards live service games is an example of just why you cannot do that and expect to find any significant amount of success. You're just not going to find that success unless you know what you're doing, or you're really lucky, or both. And Bethesda Game Studios ran into it with Fallout 76, realizing it's not actually that easy to just casually make a live service game. It takes a lot to make that work. And unfortunately, I think Rocksteady has run into that too, where it's like, it's not easy to make a live service game that functions at scale and that's compelling and fun enough for players to want to engage with it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours over the course of months and months and years and years. Now, this is where people have reported running into problems when they go back to Metropolis after completing those missions. So if I select this and I want to just plop in, no, I'm right back in it. No issue. Okay. No issue loading back in. Maybe it's just a PlayStation issue. I mean, there's still, oh God, did you see that? There's still clearly some performance issues on Xbox. It's not running perfect, but I'm at least not running into the issue where I'm kind of locked out of Metropolis after doing one of these Elseworld missions. So I guess there's that, or maybe it's one of those things. I saw some comments saying that it's once every 3 or 4 endgame missions they get locked out and have to reboot the game. So maybe it's just hit or miss. I don't know. Call me crazy. I don't really want to do 4 or 5 of these missions just to find out if I get locked out after one. I was kind of hoping I would get locked out after that last one, so I have an excuse to stop playing. But what are you gonna do? Again, it's not good when players are like, oh my God, can I just stop playing? Can you like please crash for me? It's like when I played Gollum last year for review. I got that review code. Nobody was talking about the game yet. And I was like, I don't know, this is pretty stupid. It might not be worth covering this game. But it was so bad. It was like so bad it was good. But even then, there were times where I was like, I'm kind of hoping that the game crashes so I can take a break, because it's pretty rough. Oh yeah, you want to see how cars blow up now? It's 2024, so cars blow up in a way that doesn't make any sense. They just disappear, and then there's like some wheels. Isn't that crazy? Did you know that? Did you know that's a thing? They just disappear, and then wheels roll around, then there's a chair. That's how it works. Also, gonna say it again, there is no reason these things should be here. Doesn't make any sense. Green Lantern is dead. The whole point is once his will is broken, the green stuff goes away, and when he's dead, his will is very broken. So why are these helicopters still roaming around the city? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. But okay, you know what? Let's wrap this up. I am kind of bummed that this video even exists. I was really, really hoping that this game would end up really surprising me, and it would be like, the big surprise of 2024 is that Suicide Squad is actually really, really good, and all of those concerns and red flags that we had witnessed were not warranted. But unfortunately, it ended up being exactly what we feared, and in some cases even worse than what we feared for a lot of players. Like, I thought that the core game as a concept was a little weird coming from Rocksteady especially, and all of the gameplay footage we saw with like gigantic purple zits on cannons and stuff, that was kind of a weird choice, and it looked super repetitive. So I thought all of that stuff represented a bunch of red flags to bring up and discuss. However, I didn't think that there were going to be this many technical issues, especially after the game had been delayed like 1.5 years to 2 years, and after they had worked really, really hard on polishing it and trying to make sure that the game ran and performed as well as they possibly could make it. And instead of having a smooth launch and just having people disagree with the quality of like the core game style, we've ended up with a game that is weirdly broken and that doesn't actually deliver on any of the premises that excited the core fans. It's just a game that has sort of a half-assed story, so story fans aren't that thrilled, and live service fans are frustrated because it's a really crappy looter shooter and doesn't have really any significant end game, if you can even play the end game, because for a lot of people it's bugged. It's just generally a bit of a mess, and I was not ready for it coming from Rocksteady, because normally they're really good about polish and refinement. It's just weird to see them like this with just a big old misfire present in this form. And unfortunately, like with less than 1,000 concurrent players, there's just frankly not much that can be done. I feel even season 1 might bring in some players, but I really don't think that brings in enough players to all of a sudden revitalize the game, because the core issues here are with regard to the end game, are content driven, and as far as we can tell, season 1 is going to be pretty anemic when it comes to content. It's mostly about giving a new playable character, and with these types of games, it's largely about the social side of it too, and the community. And if the community is already getting super fed up with both the way the company has handled communication and patches and things like that, it's just really, really tough, as we saw in that Reddit post, to maintain any semblance of positivity, because there's just not a lot to be positive about. And as much fun as shooting big purple zits is, I don't see a way that this game digs itself out of the hole it's put itself in. And so while some people, I'm sure, will celebrate its collapse and failure because, you know, maybe now Warner Brothers will listen, because executives, the only thing they care about is their bottom line and the dollars at the end of the day. And this game, in all likelihood, could lose $150, $200 million. They marketed the crap out of this, and Rocksteady didn't do anything for basically like 7, 8, 9 years between Arkham Knight and the Batman Arkham VR game and then this. So with nothing to show for all of that time, keeping that studio staffed with the lights on and everything, they have nothing to show for it. And player counts are in the dumpster. And now they've committed to a year of post-launch support, at least, that they've said is going to be free, because they're going to support it through cosmetics. And so now they have to produce 4 seasons or whatever they're going to do for the next year. And they're not going to make probably hardly any money from any of it, because who's going to be buying cosmetics for a game that's dead that nobody's playing? Like, it's just going to be a bit of a dumpster fire. I think it already is. Honestly, I would not be shocked if they announced in 3 months after season 1 that they're just going to walk away from it, and they're like, sorry, it sucks, but that's just what we're doing. I would totally buy that, because you can't keep a live service game running and profitable if you have 600, 700, 800 people playing it globally on Steam. Like, that just doesn't work. And I want to be clear, this isn't all doom and gloom for people that might like live service games, because others, like Helldivers, have taken the world by storm and shown that a game built around fun at its core and not being a live service game will be successful. It will work out. Players will respond well to it, but you have to focus on the fun factor first, and then the live service. How do we keep players engaged for long periods of time with repetitive content? You do that second, if at all. Just focus on the fun, and players will find it fun and gravitate towards it. It's baffling that in 2024, we have to be like, the key to making a successful game is to make a fun game. But that's where we are now. It's crazy. Well, I mean, after all this, I still have nobody matchmaking. There's probably 12 people online on Xbox playing this game, so I don't think I'm going to find anybody to play with, unfortunately. But on the other hand, I'm glad to report that I didn't run into any game-breaking bugs while playing through this right now. It's just not fun, but at least it didn't break. So there's that. But with that, I'm gonna call it. Unfortunately, Suicide Squad is a game that just continues to get worse and worse and break worse and worse. And no amount of patches, I think, are going to fix the core problem, which is that it just simply is not fun and is not a very good looter shooter or live service game. Maybe season 1 is a seasonal update to a live service game for the ages, and it will blow us all away and break records, and all of a sudden everybody playing Helldivers will move over to Suicide Squad. Maybe, but that maybe's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. I think probably it doesn't, and it just ends up being more of this. But okay, I'm really gonna end it. I'm bad at outros. I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.